Hello, everyone. This is Emmanuel, and I just wanted to say that the reason why I have said the phrase "let's beat this tough team" a lot is because it keeps me inspired. There are quite a few tough teams in sports. They are intimidating, but they can be beaten. It also keeps me inspired in order to accomplish many things also. Let me start with basketball in that there have been many tough teams such as the Boston Celtics of the 1980s, and they were beaten by the Lakers in 1985 for the first time in a long time. In 1986, the underdog Houston Rockets beat the Lakers in 5 games at the Forum on Rob Sampson's last second shot. They would eventually lose to Boston in 6 games in the NBA Finals. In 1988, the Pistons finally beat Boston after losing a tough series in 7 games the year before. In 1990, the Knicks upset Boston in 5 games after being down 2 games to none. The Bulls lost for 3 straight years from 1988 to 1990 to the Pistons in the playoffs, but they finally beat the Pistons in 1991 in a 4-game sweep. The Bulls of the 1990s were a dynasty, and no one could beat them in the playoffs. You could count Orlando in 1995, but Jordan had just gotten back in March of 1995, and he was not exactly the same. The Seattle Sonics in 1994 were 63-19, and they were the number one seed in the playoffs. And Denver, who went 42-40, were the 8th seed in the playoffs. Seattle would win the first 2 games of the series, and Denver would come back and win a Game 5 in Seattle in overtime, 98-94. Denver was clearly not afraid of Seattle and played very hard and overcame that 2 games to none deficit to win this series. Denver would eventually lose to Utah. The Indiana Pacers were a tough team, and the Knicks beat them in 6 games in 1999, but the Knicks had beaten them in 1993 and 1994. The Houston Rockets were a very tough team in the 93-94 season and the 94-95, and they won both years by beating the Knicks in a tough 7-game series, and I was sad about that, and sweeping the Magic respectively. The Sonics beat the Rockets the following year in a 4-game sweep, but that year their stars had encountered lots of injuries. The Lakers, who won 3 straight NBA titles from 2000 to 2002, were a very tough team, and in 2002, Sacramento almost beat them in a 7-game series, but came up just short in overtime. In 2003, the Spurs finally beat the tough team in the Lakers in 6 games. The underdog Pistons beat the Lakers in 5 games in 2004 to win their title. And the Mavericks in 06 beat the Spurs in Game 7 in overtime in San Antonio. In 2009, the Orlando Magic beat the Boston Celtics even though they did not have Kevin Garnett. Excuse me. But the Magic lost to the Lakers in 5 games, and the Lakers won it all. I want someone to beat the tough team in the Lakers next season. In baseball, the Red Sox had never beaten the Yankees in the playoffs until 2004 when they came back from a 3-0 deficit to win the series. They would go on to win the 2004 World Series against St. Louis. Since the Yankees have generally been a tough team, they have always been the favorites to win. This year, they are very tough, and I want another team to beat them in the postseason. Until the Mets win another World Series, I do want the Yankees to win. And also, I lean more towards the Mets anyway. As for football, the New England Patriots have been a dynasty this decade by winning something like 3 out of 4 Super Bowls, and I was pleased that the Giants beat them in Super Bowl 42. However, I'm not a huge Giants fan, and I lean more towards the Jets. Speaking of the Jets, they shocked the Patriots yesterday 16-9, excuse me. So anyway, I could have said a lot more, but I will leave it at that. And like I said, the phrase "let's beat this tough team" keeps me inspired and to accomplish things, and then it helps me to become brave and not really shy away from anything. So anyway, that's all for today, and I will probably be making more videos in the future. Okay, thank you. Bye.